everybody. We are here with Beyond Baseball, brought to you by Blast Baseball. Are you ready to dominate at the plate this season? Blast Baseball is the #1 hitting improvement solution, trusted by more MLB, college, and travel ball teams than any other. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Metrics are automatically sent to a smartphone app, generating insights that allow you to analyze and improve your hitting like never before. Go to blastmotion.com and enter the code LIVE at checkout to save $10. Unlock your potential with Blast. All right, we are excited to bring you the first edition of Beyond Baseball Shorts this season. Just have an incredible list of prospects. We're going to bring you some awesome interviews with from some of your favorite teams. This first one we have is with outfielder Brewer Hicklen of the Kansas City Royals. Has just an incredible story about how he kind of overcame some of the darkest times in his professional career and found some light. And I think everybody's really going to enjoy this one. Just a solid individual and human being. So without further ado, here's that interview with Brewer Hicklen. All right, welcome to another Beyond Baseball Shorts powered by Prospects Live. I'm your host, Jared Perkins, as always, and I have an amazing guest here today, Brewer Hicklen, outfielder with the Kansas City Royals, drafted in the 2017 MLB draft out of the 7th round out of the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Brewer, how are you doing today?
Good, man. 2017. God, seems like forever. Getting old, man.
No, you're getting younger. You just got to have a different perspective. You just
That's
shift that
right.
perspective.
Perspective. Body doesn't feel that way, but yeah, mine's young.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to join. We've shared your story on a different podcast, a group that I work with, Major League University. But just for the viewers who don't know you and are kind of new to this podcast, just fill them in a little bit about background about you, how you kind of got to where you are playing football in college and also playing baseball, but also kind of some of the struggles that you went through with professional baseball and just kind of how you developed yourself outside of the game as well.
Yeah, man. Two-sport athlete at UAB. Obviously was quite the challenge, but something that really molded me into who I am today. Just discipline and really developed my athleticism to really kind of make me the baseball player I am today. It's kind of interesting. When I got drafted, they kind of drafted me not as a baseball player, but as an athlete, and I was going to figure out the baseball stuff kind of later. And I mean, I still kind of feel that way, man. I'm learning stuff each and every day and trying to just continue to grow my game and add different facets that I can. But yeah, baseball, is very interesting. It's been quite the journey from 2017, starting in rookie ball and, then going to extended spring training, which was a big heartbreak. And then going to low A, going to high A, then getting sent back to low A, and then double A, having one of the worst first halves of my life, 60 games, and just I think I was hitting like 190 and really just kind of hitting rock bottom. I mean, honestly, I just remember, I mean, we've told the story before, but just like, sitting in the locker room with just tears in my eyes, not really knowing if I ever was good enough to be able to be a big leaguer. And, fortunately enough, and by God's grace, I was able to accomplish that last year, which was incredible. It was almost seemed like a year to the date. But yeah, I mean, God's been good to me, man. I'm so fortunate. I've had incredible people in my corner, and that have pushed me forward. And I'm just trying to make a difference each and every day that I go out there. I love baseball, but I love people more. And building the relationships is one of the most rewarding things about this game, and something that I look forward to doing each and every season.
Yeah, I love the relationship aspect that you touch on, because we interviewed Jacob Turner, who pitched about 7 years in the big leagues, and he talked about the biggest takeaway he had from the game wasn't playing, wasn't just being on that stage. He's like, it was the relationships that I developed with the people that I played during that time. He's like, because he goes, doesn't matter what I did on the field. He goes, those things went away at some point. He goes, but the relationships that developed with the people, he goes, those have lasted forever.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody's always going to hit more home runs and steal more bases, but it's really just about making friends and impacting lives. And it's cool. Like, my wife and I are getting ready to get on a flight in a couple of days and go down to Orlando for a teammate's wedding and spend some days down there. So it's just fun things that you really get to do, meeting people all over the world. College, you kind of have most of that region. Players. You get to pro ball, you got people from different countries and different areas of the United States, and it's really neat to bring everybody together. That's one of the coolest things baseball is you have so many different cultures in one locker room. So something that I really enjoy being a part of.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And one thing I kind of want to touch on too, because you talked about it, you talked a little bit about the struggles, but focusing on the positive aspects of things, like thinking about kind of the lowest lows that you had in the game. What was it like to finally like make that major league debut? What were some of the feelings that you went through? Because I imagine like coming from that low point, and then all of a sudden like now you're at the top, you made that major league debut. Kind of take us through what that moment was like.
Yeah, I mean, almost what 10 months. I think it was July that I was really kind of just had that breakdown, and it was 10 months later in May that I got the call that I was going to the big leagues. And it's something that you dream about your whole life, and when it's finally there, it doesn't really seem real.
Yeah,
You put so much thought into what that day is going to feel like and how it's going to go, and so really for me. It was more of a celebration of just being able to persevere through all those failures. There were so many times that I wanted to quit and not do it, but I kept telling myself to keep going. I had my wife in my corner, my family in my corner, and I honestly couldn't do it without them. And so, to me, that's what it was. It was a celebration of. I mean, all the hard work, but all
yeah.
just the times that you really had to look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Do I really want to do this?" And I kept saying yes because I'm passionate about the game. I feel like I'm a good enough player to be able to contribute at the big league level, and I was fortunate to do that for just a couple games last year. Didn't go like I wanted to do, but like we talked about before, it doesn't really define the player that I am for sure.
Yeah, and I love that perspective too, because you think about like no matter what journey you're on, whether it's in athletes or athletics or you're just trying to do something else out of sport, like you're gonna run into bumps in the road on your way to that to trying to get to the top end goal. And if you're not celebrating those small victories or just kind of figuring out things along the way, like it gets hard. Like you start kind of
For
going into
sure.
the ruts that you've kind of talked about. So I love that. And so, kind of building on to this off season, what's the one thing you're kind of looking forward to during this off season, but going into the next year to kind of really build on?
I think I want to build off just like what I did last year. I mean, I had a good statistical year. There were some things
Yeah,
that I want to continue to develop as far as the analytical side of things that they kind of deem in the red category. A lot of things, went well and I had some success, but at the end of the day, like there's always room for improvement, and I'm the first person to be a perfectionist about my own craft. Like I'm constantly criticizing what I'm doing, and that's just my personality. Like I want to be the best at everything I do, but
yeah,
I think going into this year, it's literally just taking advantage of that day and focusing for those four, 3, 4, 5 at bats, whatever you may have for that day. And man, just trying to, when the slippery slope goes down, just to try to level it out and get back on top instead of just letting it keep go down. Because I would have some, not really days that I was like checked out, but it
yeah,
just seemed like it kept going down, 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 and then I'd hit the right back up, high, 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 high. So
yeah,
just a little bit more even kill. Easier said than done, man. You know how it is. It's a hard game, but
yeah.
that's kind of the goal, and just along the way, just pull the teammates together and enjoy our time together. Because I mean, we spend more time with them than we do our family, so that becomes your family.
Yeah, I love that perspective. I talking about a little bit about statistics. I know you mentioned that, but you came close. What to the 30-30-30 club,
Come on,
or is
don't
it
worry
one
about it.
double? Right?
Two homers short, man. I had
Ah,
I had 3 weeks and I just absolutely choked at the end. But I mean, I really didn't change anything. I
yeah,
mean, we ran into some good pitching and timing was off. Body didn't feel great. Success didn't happen, but I mean, what's the difference in 2 home runs? Like I tried to just take it from the perspective of, hey, man, it was a still good year. Would have been awesome because I don't think anybody's done that in like 10 years. But didn't do it. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Now we got to do it this
yeah.
year.
Yeah. The other thing I like that you touched on too, you talked about kind of being a people person and kind of being that person that everybody kind of goes to. So, like, what helped you develop that outside of the game? Because a lot of times people are so focused on baseball they kind of forget to kind of develop themselves outside of the game. But what has kind of developed your personality to kind of be that clubhouse guy and kind of be that leader in the clubhouse?
I mean, I've always been a naturally extroverted person. I've always enjoyed meeting new people and building new relationships. I think, going to college and just kind of my coach instilling that kind of humility in me to like
Hmm.
realize that, you're not any better than anybody else. And I think just serving others, like you really kind of start to find more value in your own life when you look to add value in other people's life. So that's just kind of an outlook that I've taken throughout my career. And obviously, some days are better than others, but like I just want to like them to go home knowing that they have at least one teammate that really cares about them and that's going to be praying for them, and that can just be there to talk if they need to talk. There's so many different scenarios that go on in a year. A lot of people just don't have anybody to talk to. And
Yeah.
so, in any field, whether a business or not, like it's always just important to be that person for somebody. And I'm fortunate to have mentors in my life that are calling on me and checking in on me. And so, I just want to be that for other people. That's just where my heart is, and something that I've kind of just grown into. I mean, I love leadership. I love studying leadership. I love how it brings people together. I love how it makes teams better, businesses better, communities better. There's really no bad thing to good leadership. And so
Yeah.
I just try to be the best leader that I can be. And I mean, I still can be better. So I'm just trying to be the best I can.
Yeah. The one thing I the one thing that you really touch on that I love is that you talk about in leadership, it's being there for other people, right? It's not just leading the team, but it's also making sure they know that you're there for them. But thinking about yourself too, like because you're putting so much energy into others, which is great. But what do you do away from the game to kind of help you uh, not focus on the pot, like the ups and the downs of the game, but really develop those passions outside of the game that kind of help you stay grounded?
I think the biggest thing is just my foundation and my faith in Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. Like at the end of the day, um, the game of baseball is not what's important in life. I mean, we're all
Yeah.
called here to further and advance the kingdom of Christ. So try to have that outlook every day. Now, granted, I'm as competitive as it gets. So, like when you go between the lines, like I want to knock your teeth in and beat. But when I do that, I'll pick you up and tell you I love you.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think in any relationship, any marriage, any team, I mean, any country, whatever. Like if the roots are founded in Christ, which is humility, grace, patience, serving others, like what can go wrong? Like
Yeah.
you just have this freedom that is just unexplainable, that a lot of people don't understand. Like we get so bound up and feel like we're weighed down by life circumstances so often. But the freedom that we get, you know, to have a savior that died on the cross for our sins and forgave us of those, it's second to none. And there's really no other way to put it other than, simply put, Jesus Christ is the reason I'm able to be grounded and have that foundation. Doesn't mean I don't have
Yeah.
bad days. Definitely have bad days. Um, but I do find myself, if I do get back to the source and get back to the vine, I always seem to have a lot more patience and peace.
Yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing about even being grounded in faith is that you have that foundation to go back to, right? No matter what changes in life, no matter what the good or the bad, like there's something to go back to, and I think that's the important thing that a lot of
Yeah,
people don't have, especially when they're coming into the minor leagues or just in anything in general in life. Is like you don't have that foundation to go back to. It gets real tough to find
yeah.
out where you are.
Roller coaster, man. That's just, and it's hard to live a life with a roller coaster. People can't
Yeah,
depend on you, and that's one thing I want to be. Is I want to be dependable. I want people to know that whether it's a good day or bad day for me, or good day or bad day for them, I want to be the same guy. I want to try to just love on them, and that's really one of my biggest goals this year, is just to be better at that. And I mean, not carrying it home with me, and being present with my wife and my crazy dog, and enjoying the time with them after a rough game, or even a good game. It is funny. You go home and you just, when you have good games, you just feel different. And I'm just trying to
yeah.
take that infectious personality, like that infectious feeling, into each and every day, because that seems like when I'm at my best.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I guess kind of diving into the last question, you've touched on a lot about what we try to talk about on the Beyond Baseball podcast. Is we really want this to be something that fans can enjoy and really enjoy the human side of the players behind the numbers and their performances on the field, and get kind of a bigger look of like who these guys are and who they are as humans. But we also want the podcast to be like a way for future minor leaguers to kind of learn and get some lessons to help teach them as they try to transition into professional
Yeah.
baseball, as they kind of find to figure out who they are. So if you had like the one piece of advice for future athletes who might be going through some of the same up and downs that you were going through, or trying to figure out who they are outside of the game, what would that piece of advice be?
Man, I've been given some good advice in my time. I think and you've probably heard it before, but it's just to be where your feet are. I mean,
Yeah.
you can want to be so many different places in life, but you can't make a true impact on the people around you unless you're just being present where you are. So what does that look like? I mean, you're at practice and you're, in the 10U team and you're, thinking about going home and playing video games, or you're thinking about a test the next day, or you're thinking about a game in a couple days or a tournament in a couple weeks. That doesn't benefit anything because you can't control any of that. The only thing that you can control in the moment is you fielding that ground ball, taking that swing, stepping out, taking another swing. And to me, that's I mean the biggest benefit that I ever got, or that I was able to find the biggest gains is just to be present and to be where my feet are. Found that was one, not only the best thing for me athletically and physically, but also for me emotionally, because it just really took the fear and anxiety away of worrying about things that I can't control. I mean, there's so many things in this life that we can't control and we want to have our hands on, but you just got to let go and just be where your feet are and let God, run His course. I wear a bracelet that says "Tetelestai." It means it is finished. God's work's already been done, and I'm literally just living out the playbook that He has for me, and the only thing I can do is to be on the page that I am for that day.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect thing to end on because you think about it, it's like you can't get where you want to go unless you succeed or you're having success in the current moment. I
No
think
doubt.
that's awesome. And Brewer, we can't thank you enough for joining us. This is an awesome interview. You're an incredible person. You can see why you're one of the clubhouse leaders. I'm wishing you but nothing but the best in big league spring training as it comes close here, and then
Yes,
in the
sir.
2023 season.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate you spreading everybody's stories and just letting people share their heart. And wish you guys nothing but the best, and look forward to talking to you in 2023.